Hello, everyone. Once again, this is Dare to Speak. I've been doing a little bit of research concerning the actual history of the Illuminati, and of course, there's many different names to call these. Uh, the Illuminati is the most famous name that's used right now for the so-called these this secret elite type people or whatever you want to call them. I guess the list goes on and on. They call them the secret government. They call it, the evil powers that be, or whatever you want to call them. Secret society. The name is kind of irrelevant in a sense, but Illuminati is kind of like the most famous name to be used for it. And the thing that I noticed was in earlier times, because when they started in the 1700s, they were originally a group of people that was actually against the idea of the corruption of Christianity or religion. Actually, it doesn't matter, Judaism, Islam, whatever. But the whole corruption of how religion was actually trying to control people and how they explain history about how humanity started and stuff like that. And the original Illuminati people, they were actually people that were trying to find the actual explanation with scientific proof, and they were succeeding, and so much to the point that they became a threat. Now, I think somewhere along the line there must have been either the original members must have been killed off, or they might have, or some of them became corrupted in the years to come, because there was so much power in these religious people during those days. Because even during the time of Thomas Jefferson, people were going to church less often during his days, and then they start picking up more and more until after his time, from what I understand. And Thomas Jefferson even wrote his own Bible, and the teachings and the morals of Jesus Christ. He took out all of the miracles, anything that did makes him look like a divine being, and just makes him look like instead a very moral man who's a great teacher, philosopher. You know, kind of like explaining like another Gandhi, like a deeply spiritual person kind of thing, and philosophical person, in which the real Jesus was actually like that. But then they mixed him in with a lot of myth about him being a supreme being that people should worship, and things like that. However, uh, as far as the Illuminati itself, it was rumored. I don't know if it was documented. I don't think it was. It's more of a folklore um, kind of thing. That George Washington was also an Illuminati member, and even one crazy type of I don't know if I want to consider it crazy or not, because I honestly don't know. But he was considered to be an Atlantean, meaning he has a bloodline that traces back to the original people from Atlantis, and these people, because there was people there that lived in Atlantis that were good, and there were some that were evil. So there was a battle between good and evil Atlanteans, and he shares a bloodline with the evil ones, with the evil Atlantean beings. I don't know too much about the Atlanteans that much. Maybe I need to do some more research on who exactly they are as far as the good and evil. But I know that the good ones were called. Um, the the sons of the law of one, meaning the deeply spiritual type monk people. No different than Shaolin monks, how they're deeply spiritual people and stuff like that. They're into meditation and they're into like power of the mind, their third eye chakra. You know, doing all these magnificent supernatural powers through the power of their mind and their connection to the cosmos. And the evil ones, from what I understand from my research, they were called the sons of the surviving sons of Belial. I mean, the sons of Belial. And that people that are from that particular bloodline are usually called the descendants of the surviving sons of Belial. When Atlantis was destroyed and they went into hiding, and of course, as the centuries and a thousands of years, tens of thousands of years later, they continued their bloodline and stuff like that, which explains all the myth of the Bible, how the Nephilim and how they interbreeded with humans and created offspring, because it has to do with the bloodline. They wanted to create a bloodline. Now that was one type of theory. Now whether or not that's true is open to debate, because it's interesting. I give it that. Well, anyways, George Washington was an Atlantean, and he was one of the people, one of the descendants who shared the bloodline of the surviving sons of Belial, an Atlantean. He was an Illuminati member. Now, I do believe there's secret societies out there that are the opposite of that. I mean, the total opposite. I do believe there's secret societies out there that are dedicated to truth, justice, someone who like an enemy. Because if there's a secret society of evil people that controls the world or whatever, according to this famous theory, then there has to be another group that's the total opposite of them, because we live in a duality, two groups of good and evil. Um, I don't know what the good ones are called. That's the thing. Anyways, the point is that's what I found out as far as the actual history of the Illuminati, and of course that book the Encyclopedia of Secret Societies. Um, I have the book somewhere, but I gotta look for it. But yeah, they talk about the Freemasons. It's like an encyclopedia of every secret society that you want to know of. So there's one from one of my recent, not recent, but one of my past videos where I actually showed the book, and they show that all the Illuminati symbols and stuff like that. So it's pretty interesting. And also they even had a lot of information on the triads, the Chinese triads, which is the organized crime figures. And they started off. What I noticed, just like with the Illuminati, they started off as a positive group. The triads, their actual beginnings had to do with Shaolin monks, the survivors of the burning of the Shaolin Temple, when the Manchus took over the Shaolin Temple, and there was five senior, this high ranking monks, and one of them was a female, and she was the actual founder of Wing Chun Kung Fu. And for those of you who don't know what Wing Chun Kung Fu is, it's that style that Bruce Lee does. Where he does that thing with his hands, blocking, with that big log with the three sticks sticking out, and he does all that Wing Chun Kung Fu kind of thing. She was the founder of that, this monk. And through the centuries, as they were fighting against the government because they were anti-government, they became like the White Lotus Society. Then years later, they were called the Eight Trigrams Society, and then it branched out, the Great Sword Society, um, the Righteous Harmonious Fists, which is known in history as the Boxers. And then as time went on, to the time of the early days of the Communist Party, and in 1925 in China and stuff like that. So that's what I pretty much know about as far as the Freemasons and the Illuminati. And from what I understand, because their symbols are very, very interesting. They have the compass and ruler symbol, and that has to do with, from what I understood from one research, because King Solomon was also part of a Freemason. King Solomon actually designed, according to folklore, that King Solomon actually designed his sacred temple with the help of angels and demons, in which he had a magic ring. He had it on. He had the magic ring on his right hand, I believe, or oh no, I'm sorry, his left hand, and then he had it on his index finger, which had the secret name of God, meaning the power from the universe and stuff like that. And he used it to have control over angels and demons. He would just shun it in front of them, and he made the demons as workers. There were 72 of them that he had in bondage, in chains, or whatever like that, according to the folklore. And he had his temple supernaturally built, along with regular workers too. But he also had it supernaturally built. And there was the master architect, the chief architect. I have a real hard time pronouncing his name, Hamalabif. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. And then there was 5 people that wanted to know who the master mason was, and he refused to say it because he'll get in trouble by King Solomon, and it's a secret that he can never say who it was. And the name of the actual master mason, I guess, is still a mystery. He wouldn't tell them, so they killed him. And then King Solomon had these 5 people, these 5 traitors, executed. Some were some were like disemboweled, some were like this kind of a real extreme torturous deaths, which is kind of really twisted and dark. I mean, I can understand execution, but doing it to that degree, that must have been during the time when King Solomon was actually going a little bit, a little bit crazy, and when he started to become corrupted during this time. And that's what I noticed. And the compass and ruler, from what I understand, that it has to do with the measurements of building something. Because if you build something in a secret area, it has connections to the cosmos that draws power to it. So there has to be a specific location where something has to be built, and then another location where another secret part has to be built, because it draws power from the universe, and it draws powers from I don't know, maybe from underground, from the some evil creatures or whatever, demons or whatever you want to call them. Even though I don't believe in demons, but creatures or beings or whatever from underground. Now that's what I found out. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Questions or comments, you know what to do. And to all of you, take care.